Well, happy Friday, Cultural Confederates. And you know what that means? Time for an Oddly Friday News episode. Now, if you're new to the channel, no fancy graphics, nothing like that. What you see is what you get. We talk about the news of the day. Anything goes on the channel, so it might be history, politics, culture, you name it. But on Fridays, we have our Oddly Friday News episode. And I've decided to go with a anything goes theme for 2026. So we just pop in the word news, see what pops up, and we talk about it. A question for you here. Has this issue of immigration, has it become the new George Floyd? Because if you'll notice, nobody's talking about civil rights. Well, civil rights with immigration. But nobody's really talking about Israel anymore. Where's Jews for Palestine? We don't even talk about the Palestinians. So nobody's talking about Israel or the Palestinians. Nobody's talking about the flight of the black community. I meant plight, not flight, but plight. The flight, it's all the same. So at any rate, let's get to this. Let me type in the word news, but maybe you've noticed that now the big thing is this winter storm. Have you seen the latest? Brace for impact, as though the plane's about to crash here. Brace for impact. We got a winter storm coming. Hey, Fox News, because I saw this on Fox News, NBC, ABC, CBS, MSNBC. It's called The Dead of Winter. And we're going to get really bad winter storms, especially, if you live in places like, I don't know, the Northeast or the, Midwestern high plains where I live. We're technically called the Northern High Plains. That's where I live. And it's actually minus 3 degrees outside, but the wind's not blowing, so it's not as bad. Look at it in terms of this way. So if you live in the Northeast, it's a lot wetter on the West Coast or more humid than it is, let's say, on the Pacific Coast where it's more dry. In between, in the Midwest, it's a little bit different. It can get humid and it can get dry. So what you end up with is a somewhat dry winter. So it's a different type of cold. It's cold, don't get me wrong, but let's say minus 5 degrees where I'm at would be like 10 above up in New York City. So that's kind of just to kind of give you an idea of the type of cold you're dealing with. But it is funny to see everybody freaking out over this. And now they're having a milk and toilet paper shortage. They can't even talk. Milk and toilet paper shortage like they did in 2020. Remember when COVID happened, everybody raided the grocery stores for toilet paper and milk? It's insane, absolutely insane. So let me type in the word news. Let's see what's going on. Again, our Oddly Friday News episode. And as you know, we do these in one take. But I do have a lot of fun doing this channel. So here we go, folks. What do we have going on out in the snooze? When a storm begins, millions face catastrophic ice and heavy snow. That's at CNN. Over the BBC, hundreds of Minnesota businesses closed to protest ice presence. Ooh, how many businesses? It's like what? Minus 25 in Minnesota right now, in Minneapolis. Hundreds of businesses in Minnesota closed on Friday, and thousands of protesters turned out in severely cold weather to demonstrate against the ongoing immigration crackdown in the state. The widespread rallies come after organizers encouraged residents to skip work or school and refrain from shopping in a show of opposition to U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE. And the ICE operation ordered by the Trump administration in Minnesota has been going on for more than 6 weeks. And apparently very little is getting done from what I'm seeing here. And I said before, there's a way to solve this problem. Bring immigration to the state level. Bring it back to the states. I'm serious about that. The purpose of now, it's true, and I said this before, the Constitution does give Congress the power to create a uniform rule or law of immigration, naturalization. But according to Article 1, Section 9, It states that the states have the ability to decide who or who they don't admit into their state. Now, that was dealing more with slavery at the time, but it can also apply to immigration because you did have immigration happening in the 1790s, early 1800s, 1850s, 1860s. So it really should go back to the states if you're wanting to solve this problem and stop all this division. But somehow these numbskulls in D.C. can't figure that out. No, we got to have our power. We got to stay in power because we're almighty D.C. We know better than you. No, you don't. And you sure as hell don't know better than Minnesotans. And if Minnesotans or people in Minneapolis want to have a sanctuary city, well, by all means, let them have it. How is that affecting you in D.C.? It ain't affecting you one iota. Now it comes to your backyard in D.C., then you can decide what you're going to do with immigrants in D.C. But this whole business of having ICE agents, as I said before, pull people out of their cars, which we've seen footage of, and now you've got Fox News. I was watching the 5 today. Oh, no, that's not happening. That's not happening. And Jessica, what's her name? Karloff or Carla, whatever. She's one of the hosts on Fox News, one of the talking heads. And she listed all these things, and nobody responded to these incidences of these off-duty police officers of color being called out by ICE or pulled over by ICE. Now, from all accounts, they're backing off once they show the papers that they are, show their badge that they are an off-duty officer or a police officer who's off-duty. But that shouldn't be happening. That shouldn't be happening. So you need to bring this back to the states because this thing is a mess. It's just a mess. But it definitely feels like the summer of love, well, it's actually the winter of love, all over again. Feels like 2020. So that's going on at the BBC. Forgive my rant here. But let's move on. Hey, I've got to fill a 10-minute video somehow here on YouTube. So let's go back to the snooze again, see what else we have out there with the snooze. So we talked about this winter storm. Brace yourselves, brace for impact. NBC News, FBI agent resigns over investigation into shooting of Renee Good in Minneapolis. Ooh, that's a good one. FBI agent resigns over investigating into shooting of Renee Good in Minneapolis. An FBI agent has resigned over the investigation into the fatalized shooting, they just repeated themselves 3 times, of Renee Good after Trump administration officials focused the probe more on the actions of Good and her partner and less on the officer who shot her, according to 2 people familiar with the decision. Now, I don't trust NBC News as far as I can throw them. But you got stuff like this going on, you know something's wrong. The agent, who was a supervisor in the Minneapolis field office, and again, there should be no federal offices in these individual states. All of these offices should be located and operating out of D.C. Period. End of story. He did not immediately respond to a request for comment Friday night. Good 37 was fatally shot on January 7th by Immigration and Customs Enforcement Officer Jonathan Ross, as she was in the driver's seat of her SUV. And where was the Minneapolis Police Department? Why weren't they there directing traffic? The shooting sparked outcry and protest decrying the presence of federal immigration officers. Again, bring it all back to the state. So we got that going on over at NBC. Let's look at some odd news stories. If I type in the word odd, got to add a few of those as well. So that's the big news of the day. The winter storm. All hell's breaking loose in Minneapolis. What else is new? Oh, UPI. Let's see. Odd news stories. Oh, TSA's most unusual finds of 2025. Let's look at this one. Get one of these advertisements here. Don't you hate that? You go to a website, you click on it, one of these news sites, and you've got all these pop-up ads. Oh, I can't stand it. So let me maximize this. TSA's... doing this again in one take. TSA's most... I'm having fun, folks. I'm having a lot of fun here. TSA's most unusual finds of 2025 include turtles in a bra. Sounds a little uncomfortable, doesn't it? Turtles in a bra. Here we go with these damn pop-up ads. Ugh. No more pop-up ads, please. Okay, according to this, let's see what we got here. So it's a top 10 list of the most unusual items seized at airport security. Let me get rid of this other screen here. What else do we got? PVC pipes, wooden blocks wrapped in paper, marked C4. Apparently the items were fake or replicas, not a threat. What else do we have here? A knife in a car seat at Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. Trying to get rid of this ad here, and it just won't go away. And it won't let me scroll, to the other side of the page. So they found bullets and knives and bullets, pills in a shampoo bottle at Ted Stevens Anchorage International Airport. So it sounds to me like the TSA was busy in 2025. So that's over at UPI. What else do we have here going on with our oddly Friday news segment? Let's see, anything over at the AP? Anything at the AP? Now, what's cool about my laptop is now I'm able to, it's got the touchscreen option. See, I can't talk today. So you can just tap on this, and I didn't realize that because I thought I had to install something for the touchscreen with this. Some of these you do. You have to, get the app to do the touchscreen or whatever the app is. Singing contest in Rio prison provides creative outlet for women behind bars. In a Rio de Janeiro prison, Brazilian women inmates showcased their talents in a singing contest on Friday. Well, good for them. Singing their life away in prison. Ooh, mummified cheetahs, this is also the AP, found in Saudi caves, shed light on lost populations. Interesting. So back to the regular news here. Let's see what else we have. Just put in the word news. I was drinking coffee earlier, so my mouth's starting to stick here. So I'm starting to talk like this. I'm starting to sound like Ted Kennedy. You ever see those clips of Ted Kennedy when he was alive? He was at some campaign event, and he's talking, and all the words just slur together. UK, this is over at the Washington Post. UK, including Prince Harry, voices outrage as at Trump's Afghanistan remarks. Let's see what that's about. If I can even get into the Washington Post site without them having that stupid thing saying they want you to subscribe. President Donald Trump's inaccurate... okay, come on now. I don't want to subscribe. His inaccurate belittling of the British role in Afghanistan recalled previous occasions when he had insulted, injured, or fallen soldiers. Britain's, including Prime Minister Keir Starmer, Prince Harry, and grieving parents of soldiers killed in action, reacted with fury Friday to President Donald Trump's inaccurate belittling of the role British troops played in the Afghanistan war. Can't even say it. You got all these countries out there that got Stan at the end of them. It's some country with the name Stan at the end of it. Harry, a former Army helicopter pilot, rebuked Trump for, which I think he's secretly gay, by the way, rebuked Trump for disrespecting fallen soldiers. Starmer, called the president's remarks insulting and frankly appalling. Well, we know it's insulting. You just mentioned that 3 times, damn it, Washington Post. So let's move on. What else do we have here? Yahoo News. Should I go to Yahoo News, Google? Let's try Google. What we got going on over at Google News? Thousands protest U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement in Minnesota. They're hammering that story, by the way. It's like the main headline right now because nothing else is going on. I'm telling you, it's the summer of love all over again. But now the winter of love 2026. Ooh, Time Magazine. We'll end with this one. We've never agreed about George Washington and slavery. Yes, George Washington owned slaves. He also owned white indentured servants. So what? That was in. This is now. Said that before. Oh, you can't say that. That's so insensitive. What? I'm making a comment of what the time was like then. Thank God we no longer have slavery, but that's what the times were like then. People didn't go to work 9 to 5 like they do now. They didn't punch a clock somewhere and start their shift. That's not what happened. It says here on January 22nd, National Park Service staff tore down an outdoor exhibit on the history of slavery at the President's House in Philadelphia, part of Independence National Historic Park. The removal comes after months of conjecture and protest over whether and how the site, which tells the story of the 9 people George Washington enslaved while president, would reconcile its content with President Donald Trump's 2025 executive order demanding the removal of history that might inappropriately disparage famous Americans. That's a long-ass sentence. I'm serious, folks. It's one long sentence. In fact, the entire paragraph is one long sentence. No, pardon me. It's got how many sentences here? So it's got like 2 sentences. But the second one is like this really long compound sentence. Because the people at Time Magazine can't figure out how to say things in like less than 2 sentences. Or just a few words. So we got that going on. But it goes on to say, this latest act of historical erasure comes amid heightened scrutiny of slavery's place in Washington's legacy in recent years. During the demonstrations for racial justice in 2020. Oh, back to the summer of love 2020. Here we go. See, it all fits today on the show. For some odd reason, it fits on this episode. Protesters across the country defaced and tore down statues of Washington, arguing that enslavers should be reviled, not honored. Predictably, others pushed back, demanding that we continue to celebrate him as our national hero. Yeah, because George Washington, even though he owned slaves, was a pivotal figure in American history. How many of you listen to the music of Richard Wagner? How many like to go see The Ring in New York City at the Met? Are you going to stop going to the Met to see The Ring because it's a well-known fact that Richard Wagner was an anti-Semite? Are you going to stop listening to your favorite rock and roll star because they had several affairs? I can name a few. Or the fact that maybe Keith Richards was addicted to drugs, or this rock and roll star was addicted to drugs, or the Beatles were into hallucinogenics. And some of the lyrics may have hidden messages, drug messages. I mean, where's it going to end, folks? Where's it going to end? So let's stop there for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you know what to do. Just having fun tonight. Going out there doing, one take. It is what it is. Our Oddly Friday news segment. Hope you enjoyed it. So follow me at Instagram, Jason197711. Find me at Substack or go to Culture Confederacy at Culture Confed1 on X. This is the Culture Confederacy saying peace out. Stay safe, everybody. Keep up the culture, and I'll catch you next time. Take care.